Good afternoon, everyone. Digital Athenaeum welcomes you to Knowledge Bytes AI-powered teaching. It's a series that will have our last session today, episode 5, called AI for Personalized Learning. My name is Jose Adorno, and I'm accompanied by Brianna Petrarca, our presenter for today, and Mary Kate Haverly. One second. Okay. And Mary Kate Haverly. They are both technology specialists for digital ATN. This session may sound familiar for some of you, and that's because this session was provided in person during case. But in this instance, we are recording the session and sharing along with today's slides at our digital ATN website, along with the other sessions that we have recorded throughout the past. It's just another good example to see how this tool in particular works both in person, live, and also virtual. The series also compiled this series, including this video here, it's also compiled as a YouTube playlist where you can access all the previous AI tools shared in one playlist. And we are proud, and Brianna has been uh, my partner through all this AI journey to have explored these powerful AI tools. He's making the selection, looking at the different privacy and guidelines, and just to help support teachers and students with this new phase of artificial intelligence. And with that, I will pass along this digital mic to Brianna Pajarka.
Thank you. So once again, my name is Brianna Patriarca. Excuse me. And we are going to explore CuriePod today. So for this session, we are going to identify the benefits of using AI to create automated assessment tools and activities to enhance adult learning. I'm going to understand how to create, adapt, and deliver AI-powered assessment tools to measure adult learners' knowledge and skills. And we do have some time at the end for a Q&A session where we can dive in a little deeper and answer some of those questions and how this can be used in the classroom. Excuse me. So kind of did this a little bit in a backwards design format. So typically when we are looking at a tool, we're kind of diving in on the how you would do it as a teacher end first. But instead, I'm going to have you look at it from the student perspective so you can kind of get an idea on what the students would experience and to really showcase some of those opportunities for personalized learning. And kind of while we're going through, I will also show you a bit of the teacher's end and how some of the things you can do while you're presenting to students. I'm going to apologize. I'm probably going to be talking a bit. I'm getting getting over bronchitis. So really, we're kind of starting at the finished product. And then later on, we're going to go over kind of those, how to navigate and create using CuriePod. So how you would create your presentation. And then we're going to explore some of the reporting features available. So Diffit, Tweet, and Magic School are AI tools that we had gone over in other Knowledge Bytes sessions. I do have a link at the end of the slide, end of the presentation that goes over which sessions cover these tools if you wanted to learn more about them. But Diffit, Tweet, and Magic School are really great planning tools for assessments and activities. CuriePod is provides personal learning activities and assessments that are embedded within the instruction. So you can set up your presentation and then go all the way through, and the assessments and learning are embedded throughout. So the first thing, as I mentioned, is that I want you to experience that student perspective first. So can you give me a thumbs up or a nod if you can see this menu at the bottom right of my screen where we have like show options, freeze, all that fun stuff? Yes. Awesome. Okay. No. Okay. So I have a yes and then I have a no. So there's this gray bar at the bottom right of the screen that has show options, freeze, and then a person icon with 0. So this is how you would get students to join. I'm going to actually mute the volume because it does have music. So there's 2 ways to join. If you are on a laptop and you only have the single screen, I would recommend joining with your cell phone if possible. And you can do that by scanning the QR code. So just opening your camera app, hovering it over, it should give you like the yellow square and a little link, and just clicking on it to open the link, and it will automatically have you join. Or you can go on your web browser and go to the website that's about to be displayed and enter the PIN. So very big, you can either scan the QR code, and I'm actually going to chat the link just in case you have issues joining with your phone. Oh, there we go. Mary Kate's got it, and the PIN is there as well because you will need that to join. All right, we'll give it a few more minutes. We got 2, 4. All right. And as you can see, it's giving you a very random name. You can set it so that it captures people's names, or it just leaves it as completely random generated. So even when you're in a class and you want to capture your students' names for your own reporting, or to just see how they did, when you're displaying the screen, it will still show the random name. So it does kind of retain student privacy. And to change that feature, before you add, under the settings thing, you can just click require real names. And as I said, it will still only show as the random ones on the screen, but you'll be able to see how each student did with their actual name when you're looking at the reports later. All right, so before we go into every single activity, I will show this screen again. So if you do get stuck, or if it kind of boots you out for any reason, you'll have the opportunity to rejoin. They did actually do a couple of changes over the weekend, which was a pleasant surprise on presentation day. Before, you could only see the activities as they were running on your phone, and now you can actually watch the slide presentation as we go through, which is a nice addition to it. So I know somebody just joined. I'm going to just re-chat the link. So this is going to be how you join from the student view. If you wanted to do it on your browser, or you can use your phone and scan the QR code to automatically join. I'm going to give it one more second, and then we'll move on, because the first thing I want to get a sense of is kind of what your role is and what you may be looking to learn more about CurioPod for. So are you a teacher that's looking to use AI in your classroom, or are you an administrator looking to incorporate more AI tools and learn more about AI tools to share with teachers, and so on? So I am going to go back, and you'll see there's a little timer. So you can go to the slide and, as a teacher, share, some information or additional direction to what the question is that you're looking to get information on. So like I said, I want to learn more about your primary role. You'll see throughout the slide deck, I did note, oops, didn't expect to highlight orange. I did note the actual activity name. So as we're going through, if you see one that you're like, ooh, that's cool, I kind of want to try that, you can always refer back to the slide deck to see what the activity name is, just to make it easier to find. So I'm going to start On whatever screen you have the presentation showing, not the Zoom, but like the actual one that you joined, it's going to give you a countdown, and then it's going to show the options and have you select. And so I can see with the results here that 3 people have entered. I can also, this wasn't here before, so this is new. Before, it just kind of automatically showed the results. So as I mentioned, some things changed over the weekend that I have not had a chance to fully go through and figure out what's changed. So we may run into a couple of hiccups where I'm not sure how to get the results. Excuse me. Oh, so we got 8 more seconds. Okay, here we go. So now it's showing. So all educators for the most part. Awesome. So let's go through some of the other ways it's computed. So one of the activities that I personally like, because I love drawing, is drawing activities. So this is just kind of going over a little bit what's going to come up on your screen. So once I start the activity, you're going to see kind of a grid screen, and then there's some options. So at the top, you can add shapes, such as a square, diamond, circle, lines, or you can do free draw, which is the one that is currently selected. At the bottom is the eraser. So you would click what you want to erase, click erase, and then the item that you would want to erase. So if I did a circle and then I wanted to delete that circle, I would click the eraser, then the circle. And you can change colors as well with a little color palette icon. And then we have our undo and redo. So once I start the activity, once again, it's going to be timed. The prompt is going to show up, and whenever you're done with your drawing, you can click submit. If the time runs out, it's going to automatically submit for you whatever is done, which in my opinion is a nice way to kind of, make sure that people are staying within the time frames, because they can't keep working on it once that timer is finished. So for this icebreaker, I want you to draw an emoji representing how you feel about AI, how you personally feel about AI. So once again, you have 2 minutes. So I'm not expecting a Van Gogh masterpiece for the emoji, but just something quick to kind of give a quick representation of how you personally are feeling about AI. So once again, going back to that Curie Live screen, which if anyone needs to join. Okay, I'm going to have you join again. So if you want to, let's try this. I don't know why that pin didn't work and why it changed. That's so weird. But here we go. That's the new pin. I don't want you to miss out on all the fun. So once again, you can scan the QR code or go to curie.live and then enter that pin. There we go. All right. So now we're going to start. Here we go. And it's going to have you draw. Right. And once again, once you are good with your drawing, you can click that submit button, or it will kick you kind of out of it once the time runs out. About 10 more seconds. All right. So as you were drawing, one of the cool things about CurryPod is that they have what's called the moderation view. So when you click on the settings, you can open moderation. It really is meant to be in a separate screen. I have 3 computer screens open, but just so that you can see what I was seeing while you were drawing. Whoops. So as you were drawing, I could actually see what you were drawing as you went. And I could choose because unfortunately, we sometimes have people that can be a little inappropriate. I can dismiss it and kick it back to say that, no, you need to redo. But I can watch what you're doing as you do it. So that way I can make sure that you're on task and that you're understanding the assignment. So one of the other neat features with this is that there is a voting feature. So you can have students participate and then vote on the responses, and you can set the guidelines for what you want them to be voting on. So for this, I'm having you vote on what you think, which image or emoji you feel best represents how education in general feels about AI. One thing to note that Mary Kate and Jose discovered when they presented at CASE is that for larger classes, you don't actually necessarily see every single submission. It's more of a sampling of submissions to vote on. So you might go through 2 or 3 rounds of voting, and that's it. In theory, makes sense for a class of 30. You wouldn't necessarily be able to have students vote on everybody. Still kind of sad because I know a lot of people wanted to see what everyone submitted. So we'll give it a minute to do the voting. So I'm going to start. It will show the question once again for the voting, and then show the images for you to pick which one. So which drawings do you feel represent AI's impact on education? You only see the question? Okay. So you want to make sure you're looking at your Curie Live screen. So where you had done the drawing. So that's where the voting would be. All right. And since the voting is closed, it's now going to show us kind of the top voters on how you feel about AI. So a lot of happies. Happy with some questions was 3rd place. And if you did want to share with the class kind of what everyone had done, you can show all so everyone can see what was done. So just a nice little feature of this tool. So thinking about that, obviously you might not always want to, you might want to do something else besides just voting on drawings, but you can do it with open responses and things like that in CurryPod. But how do you think that voting feature can be used to give our students agency? So this activity is using a word cloud. So it's a max of 30 characters per entry. So, and I think I gave allowed 3 entries. So think like short, very, very short sentences, phrases, or one-word answers for your submission. And obviously in an actual classroom environment, if I was doing a Zoom class or an in-person class, I would not overload with this many activities. These would be used to break it up throughout. But once again, just really want to highlight some of the tools and features that are available in CuriePod and how this works at the student level. So once again, you want to be making sure that you're looking at the Curie Live screen. So whether that's on your phone or in your web browser, and you'll have 1 minute to submit your entries. And please feel free to chat or unmute if you're having any issues using the student view. Okay, so it gives me the opportunity, as you can see, to show it, or maybe I wanted to talk about it a little bit more. So very technology oriented, right? We have the vote for programs they want, be engaged. They have the opportunity to share opinions, topics, their sense of understanding, great exit ticket. Yes, it definitely gives them an opportunity to participate and to be a voice and very individually focused, and offers an opportunity for discussion. So great answers with that. One thing I would say, especially the sense of ownership, one thing that I would always recommend when I was a program facilitator is, having giving students the opportunity to suggest things that they needed to focus on or wanted to focus on for the next class, and picking at least 1 or 2 of them to do, even if it wasn't the entire class, but like 15, 20 minutes, just to make sure that students were given the opportunity. In terms of voices being heard too, I remember a few years ago, I was participating in a CCRS math training. Math, not my strong suit whatsoever. And at the time, I'm surrounded by teachers, many of whom taught GED math. And so I was personally terrified to give the wrong answer and embarrass myself amongst my peers, and was doing everything in my power to not have to actively participate in that training and to not get called on. And obviously that's not how we want our students to feel in class. So the anonymity that CuriePod gives allows students to actively participate and engage while helping reduce some of that fear of being called out. You'll be able to see once again on the back end if you require the names, how they're doing, but at least they don't have to worry about, feeling like it's going to be known by all their classmates if they don't know something. So very good. So let's talk about how CuriePod can help you. So CuriePod can be used to create interactive lessons, assignments, and assessments with students. It has all of these AI tools to help teachers build out lessons and activities. So really cuts down on some of the time that you're spending building out the presentations and activities. There's generators that will do that for you. And also there's a library of ready-made activities and lesson plans that have been created by other teachers. So all of these can help improve productivity. And once again, the content and the assessments are embedded within those presentations. So it's easy to collect and review student answers in real time, and it's all in one place. So how can it be used? So once again, you can use it for those full lesson plans and presentations. You can also use it to refresh an existing presentation. There is a generator that you can just upload your existing, and it will build in the assessment pieces into your existing presentation. You can use it as a way to check for understanding, whether it is formative or quick assessment. It's a great way to provide quick feedback, and we'll go over a tool that, or a few tools that exist that allow you to do that. It's a great way to break up a presentation and check in on social emotional learning or provide a brain break. There's a lot of drawing activities or kind of random generators, such as would you rather, that maybe don't necessarily have to do with the content, but are just a great way to kind of give students that mental moment that they need to get back into it. One thing too that you could also do is you could also have students create an account and create their own Curie pods. So when they're presenting on a topic, they can work in those assessments for understanding and things like that as they're presenting. You do get a lot with the free version. I think out of everything that we've presented on today, this one you probably get the most bang for not having to pay a buck. And everything I'm going to demo today and share today is using a free account. One of the slides towards the end of the presentation does include the pricing for your reference if you were interested in what the cost is for a subscription. So one of the amazing tools with CuriePod is the AI generated feedback. So you can do open response questions that provide AI feedback using the feedback generators. There are a few different ones. So pictured are some of the ones that are available that provide AI feedback. And one of the nice things is that when you select the activity, you can actually test the feedback. So you can put in a sample prompt or a sample student answer and then test the feedback to see what it would do. I believe with the premium version, there's some additional things you can do with this, but even just with the free, it's very nice to be able to see and test out. And you can moderate the feedback as it's being done by the moderated session. So I, once again, have a screen open on my other computer. That's the teacher view for my eyes only. So I can see what you're working on as you're doing it. And you can also view it later on when the session is done in the reports, which we'll go over a little bit later. So I know we had a couple other people that may have joined. So if you would like to join so you can participate as a student in trying out these features from the student view, I would recommend scanning the QR code with your phone so it's on a separate device. That way you can still kind of see the Zoom presentation easily. Or you can go to Curie Live and enter this pin, which we will once again chat out the link in the pin. Which Mary Kate is doing, and that pin is here. And once again, I am not capturing names for this. Everything is completely anonymous, which is nice for presentations like this. Okay. And that is everyone. So I'm going to get out of here. So we're going to test out this AI feedback activity. So I want you to write a 2 to 3 sentence argument for why you should get tomorrow off from work. And so I'm going to start the timer. You're going to have 1 minute to enter your response and then click submit. If you don't finish within the minute, it will submit whatever you've entered. So once again, you want to be looking at the screen that has the Curie Live up, whether that's on your phone or in your web browser. All right. Oops, why is it showing a word cloud? Uh-oh. I apologize for that. It did it as a word cloud instead. That was probably from me messing around as I was doing it. So this is a perfect example to showcase how you can add an activity on the fly. So you can add an activity right from settings. So I'm going to do AI feedback. We're going to do one more question. Since I botched that one up with my accidentally changing it to word cloud. So let's do why should someone get into teaching adult ed? So once again, sorry about that. You can do quick answers. Once again, looking at the screen that has your Curie Live. All right, about 25 more seconds. About 8 more seconds. All right. So once the answers have been submitted with any of the AI feedback tools, you you have to manually say give feedback. So I'm going to do that, and it's going to give you feedback based on your answers. So we can look at what everyone put and then actually look at the feedback together. I can also view it in the teacher view. So for example, worthwhile profession makes a difference, right? It gives us a good start. You mentioned key reasons, maybe add how it can be rewarding, keep going. You can meet interesting people from many different cultures, extremely rewarding, great answer, highlighted the cultural diversity, keep up the thoughtful responses, positive effect change. So it just gives you some feedback. So these are relatively short feedback responses. I did one randomly testing out the feedback, and it gave me like 4 bullet points on how I can improve it and lengthen it and strengthen my argument. Granted, it was a little bit lengthier. It was a few sentences that I'd submitted for the response. So it does kind of gauge based on what you're submitting. And once again, with the paid version, there are some additional kind of criteria you can put in for the feedback, but that's not available with the free version. All right, so this is just a sample view of what that might look like. And so now let's take a look at how CurieProd works from the other end. So how to create. So you don't have to create an account now if you don't want to. But if you did want to, we're going to send out the slide deck, so it will have this information. But you can sign up for a free account. It does ask you some questions about your role, subjects, and grades that you teach. You can update these at any time. And it does ask for your school name. And it is free for educators. The free version has so much, and you'll see that once we get into it. But I have one more thing to do from the student end. I've noticed in doing these trainings, we really want to make and try to give as relevant examples as possible when demoing how you could use these. So we're going to do an open question poll with voting. So I would like you to suggest an example lesson topic that you would like to see me do in CurryPod. So once again, you want to make sure you are looking at your screen that has Curie Live open on it, whether it's on your phone or your web browser. I'm going to start it. You'll have 1:30 to suggest, and then we'll vote on the top. We'll look at the top 3 based on the voting. All right, got about 17 seconds to get in those last suggestions for example topics. All right, so we have 9 answers total. So we're going to vote. I'm going to try to get through at least 3, so whatever the top 3 is, and if we have time, then I'll use some of the other examples to demo some of the other features in CurryPod. So once again, we'll get to use that voting feature, so you guys get agency over what's covered. Okay, about 10 more seconds. All right, so it looks like our top 3 were different ways to use technology, identifying a main idea, and getting a job. So those are the ones I'm primarily going to use to create and use some of the generators in CurryPod. And then if we have time, we'll also look at how to prepare for a parent, teacher, and budgeting. All right, so before I go to the actual site, I did create slides that will be shared with you after the presentation. Jose will probably share them. I think he usually does it within a week of the actual presentation. And it does give you screenshots on how to do the navigation, the basic navigation, and the things that I'm showing you today. So that don't feel like you have to like frantically take notes or remember all of this. to use the site, you can use the slide deck as a reference whenever you're ready to explore. So let me get out of the presentation. Actually, you know what? I am going to resume. Sorry. I'm actually going to go into CurryPod in Microsoft because I remembered that I had a question later on that I wanted to ask you guys in the poll, and I don't want to kick you out and have to make you rejoin. So we go to currypod.com. I just need to log in. And Cesar, to answer your question, I may have misphrased what I meant. You don't have to share your login information at all with students. You can, I meant more, you could have students create an account. So they could do presentations like how they would in slides. But yeah, I just never give your login information. Why isn't this working? There we go. Okay. Oops. 1 second. Sorry, typed it in wrong. There we go. So when you log in, you have the dashboard, and you can create a lesson or from scratch, like, so basically a blank presentation, or you can use some of their generators. So you can search for certain generators or by topic, and it will come up with specific tools that they think would be appropriate for that topic. So for, I forget what the first one was. So we had identifying the main idea as the primary winner. So identifying the main idea. I'm not going to filter by subject or grade, and it's going to give me 10 generators that it thinks are appropriate. So for this, they require different things sometimes. So for connect the text, it's going to want me to actually input text. And then I can do an optional input for grade. I don't have a text ready, so I'm going to back out and try a different one. But maybe let's do paragraph of the week. So I could have them write a paragraph based on an interesting prompt, and then we could share those prompts to identify the main idea as one. So this is an activity we could do where it gives them a chance to practice writing, and then also kind of making sure that their paragraph has a main idea, and then being able to identify that main idea. So just to show how the generators work from the dashboard, I can do magic based on what I selected. And it's going to create some slide decks. So it's going to give me the grade level, and it's going to give me the prompt and some directions. So it's going to give them 30 minutes. And this is the prompt that they were given, and it has some reminders. So this activity also has AI feedback. So once they're done, it's going to once again give them that AI feedback once I select it, and give them some immediate feedback on their writing. And you can always choose to skip the AI feedback as well. It's optional, but it is built into some of them. So it's not something like you have to add. So that's one example of the generator. I'm going to do, I will say personally, some of the filters that they use, I don't necessarily 100% agree with some of the generators that they've been put in those categories. For example, there's one that's like full lessons, and some of them I didn't feel really could do a full class time. But just a nice way to kind of look through, like if I just wanted to focus on vocabulary and grammar, and I wanted to start with a generator, I can go with that and then generate something. So let's say we'll once again go with that paragraph of the week. Let's do a better grade level. And so once it's generated, I can customize. And now I can go in and edit the presentation. So maybe I want to go over some things first and then have this be what I cover later. So I can do some additional generators. So maybe there's some other things. So maybe I want to explain a concept. And the concept is main idea. And once again, optional inputs, usually it's grade. So we'll go with 11 again, do magic. It will show me slides. Sometimes there's more than one. If I don't like it, so this one just kind of gives the definition of what the main idea is. You can always click regenerate. And it will do it. It will give usually an image with it. And then when I find what I want, maybe I want it to be a certain color, then I can add it. And you can click and drag the order that you want it. So you can build out the lesson using the different generators. There's other ones. So maybe I want throw a random vocabulary meme in there. Or some other generators. So maybe compare and contrast connections, things like that. You can also create your own. So there's some base activities that you can do, such as the open question. This has the voting feature. Same with the drawing activity. You can do a poll, word cloud. This is where I did the AI feedback that you participated in. There's also an AI whiteboard. So AI feedback on the drawing, essentially. And then kind of the basic additions. So if I wanted to add a header or an image and text, so just kind of like a formatted slide, you can add that here. When you have an activity, so for example, this paragraph of the week, maybe I didn't want it to be the AI feedback activity. You can click on it and change it. This is where I messed up in the presentation and accidentally selected word cloud and never went back and corrected it when it should have stayed as AI feedback. And there's certain adjustments that you can make to it. You can once again test the feedback for the AI pieces from here and see what it would generate as a response. Okay. Let's say I want to do another one. And what was the second lesson? So we had a tie. So let's look at different ways to use technology next. So maybe I just don't really know where to start at all with this. You can generate a full lesson. That's one of the AI tools that they have. So you would once again select the grade level. Let's actually do 10th. You can do a specific learning standard. So if there was a specific CCRS standard that you wanted to utilize, or maybe an ISTE standard, you could paste that here. I'm going to just do it by topic because I don't have those standards ready. So I'm going to do using technology. Actually, I want to make sure different ways to use technology. Now that topic is a little bit vague, so we may not get exactly what we want initially. The nice thing is it does let you preview it, so you can be like, oops, need to go back and be a little bit more specific, or maybe I'm too specific and wanted a little bit more broad, and you can just kind of refine it before it populates everything into your actual working presentation. So it does take a minute because it's creating an entire presentation from scratch. Here we go. So once again, you can preview. So it gives some different ideas. It gives you some information about the lesson draft, the standards covered, an introduction. We have a poll in there, some more content. slides. There's a drawing activity. We have the AI whiteboard. And so on another poll, and then a poll at the end. So you can choose to add all 15 slides. I can just pick and choose which ones I want to add. Maybe I only like some of this, but not all of it, so I can regenerate it again and then kind of pick and choose. So once again, a huge time saver in terms of creating content, like we've talked about in some of the other presentations. We do recommend kind of the 80-20 rule. So if you're going to use AI, you can use AI for about 80%. The remaining 20 should really be used to, refine what's generated, make sure that there's no bias, misinformation, that what is generated is accurate, and also to make sure that it's meeting the needs of your students. So it may never be 100%, but it is still taking out all the time that it would take you to kind of create that initial content. Okay, so the third one we had was getting a job. So what tool would be good for that? Let's see here. So for that one, we could do personalized feedback might actually be a good one for that one. Oops, sorry. So you could have it, you could break it down. It might not necessarily do the full, or you could once again do the full lesson to kind of get started. But as an example for some of the other generators that exist, you could do, the topic could be getting a job. And let's just see what it comes up with. You could do something like, elevator pitch to see what it does. For Cesar's question, do you always have to specify the grade level? You do not. Some of them actually don't require a grade level. And for some, it's optional input. I mean, it's nice because it can help you level what the content is. But no, sometimes it's required, sometimes it's not. I do have a tool that I'm going to share at the end, because when I was first going in and creating this and kind of sampling like what the things did, I thought that was kind of frustrating, in that I didn't always know what the tool was going to ask me. Like, for example, one of the first generators I did, it required me to input text. And obviously, when I'm presenting to you and I'm asking you what the topics are, I'm not going to necessarily have the text ready to go. So I actually created a tool that kind of breaks down what the tools are, what they require, and kind of roughly where they fall in terms of the categories that they have. So you can kind of look and see what they address and what they'll require. And it just kind of helps you at least get familiar with the site. One of my pet peeves with the site is that the categories that they use on the dashboard don't always have all of the generator tools that are listed here when you're actually building the presentation. I found that out last week when I was once again going through to make sure I had all of the new tools in there. And I found like 2 or 3 that were accessible here, but weren't showing up when I searched on the dashboard. So that's a little quirk with the site, but it helps you. What about the lexic level? So this is based on the grade level. I'm assuming it's the reading level for the grade, but it may be content as well. That is something we'd have to look at in terms of probably in their about information. It might give a little bit more. Oops, so that one wasn't able to generate. So in terms of using it as an assessment tool, you can build in those questions, the open questions. A lot of the tools have those built-in components where it's asking them. The polls you can look at as kind of multiple choice. the open questions, I already said. There's some other ones in there as well where they have to draw to show competency, things like that. So it's building in kind of that, once again, check-in points throughout your presentation to assess that they're understanding the content you covered so far. Let me try to find another one for finding a job. Let's look at the AI tools again. Okay. So I'm going to try creating an elevator pitch for this one since it didn't like job search. I'll leave it as 5th. So this one didn't really have what I wanted. This one's just asking if they have the why it's important to have an elevator pitch, which will happen. I could use this one. I guess theoretically, how would you create an elevator pitch to introduce yourself and interest to a new friend? I might rephrase that a little bit. So once you add it, you can actually change the prompt question. So maybe I want them to actually create one. So create an elevator pitch, introducing yourself to a potential employer. And obviously, if I was presenting on this, I might have some some slides beforehand, talking about what an elevator pitch is usually composed of and kind of the do's and don'ts of them, and then have them write it using the AI feedback tool. With this one, it has them write it, it gives the feedback, and then it actually has them rewrite it again. So they can use that feedback to revise their elevator pitch. So they could be leaving the class with an actually working elevator pitch. So this, once again, kind of assesses their understanding of writing it, gives them the opportunity to revise based on the feedback, and then, they can continue building on that learning. Any questions so far? Can you upload pre-existing Google form as part of an exit ticket? You cannot. They have their own exit tickets that you could do. You could link it, but it wouldn't be like they wouldn't be able to answer the form questions through here unless you just kind of manually added them in, if that makes sense. But you could link it. You can do a clickable link in the presentation. So at the end, they can click it from their phone or whatever device and access it that way. Yeah, that would be amazing though if they could do that. Okay, so let's say that yes, it is a little bit like Nearpod. There is AI. I think one of the things that I ran into, because I presented on Nearpod, is that there were a lot of premium generators that you didn't realize they were premium until you were kind of already in it and trying to use things. There's a lot more, I feel like, free generators here that you can create activities out of. And I feel like it builds out a little bit more with the AI than Nearpod. But Nearpod is also a great tool, and I wouldn't be surprised if they have AI built into it in the near future as well. So once you've done your presentations, you can see the results. So this is not going to have any results because obviously I haven't presented on it. I'm going to share with you what the case presentation one that we did. So there are 2 ways that you can share presentations. I got to go to my lessons so I can see the recent lessons. These are the ones that I just built. I'm actually going to find the, so you can actually see some of the recent ones here. You can go right to my lessons. And I can do my case one. Click on it. And I can share the lesson. So you can share the slides. It says with teachers, you could theoretically share this with students as well. One thing that I like is it actually shows you the answers to things, which is really nice. Mary Kate, do you mind sharing that link, the share with link? Awesome. Okay. So she's going to share it. You can click it and kind of click through the slides and you'll be able to see. I'm actually just going to open it from my end so we can see it on the screen together. That one, we did capture people's names, so I wanted to make sure that I'm sharing the right ones. Excuse me. So normally, right, when we do a presentation and we do activities in class, they might not be able to see the results of the whole class. So I like that this does include that. And it also includes all the pictures, but it also includes all of the AI pieces as well. So students can see what others wrote and learn from them and see what the AI recommended for those students. Once again, it's not showing personal names or anything like that. So they can't pinpoint exactly who wrote what, unless you have a very small class and it's easy to figure out. But it's a great way for them to learn through this, to be able to see others' work without also feeling that pressure necessarily of, oh my gosh, everyone's going to be able to see what I wrote and know it was me. And I think that's one of the nice features about this. One of the downsides, I will say, of Curipod is that you cannot download a PDF unless you have a paid version. Jose and I went back and forth on this because he was like, I really like having the PDF. And I'm like, this is kind of better than the PDF, in my opinion, because they can see the things that they wouldn't be able to see in a PDF version. So kind of, personal preference, I guess, on that. The second thing that you can do in terms of sharing and seeing results is you can download a report. So I'm going to actually get out of here so I can go back in. So you can see reports directly in, when you're in presenting, there's a little reports icon at the top of the screen, and you can also see it from the main menu. So if I go into today's presentation, I can see who participated in what, and you can actually use AI to generate insights. And Mary Kate just shared out the share link so you can see the presentation slide deck and all the responses. Once again, that is from the case presentation. So it may look a little bit different than the slide deck and what we've done today. There were a bit more people participating. But based on your presentation and the participation, it generates a learning objective, a summary, and it identifies who may need some help based on what students did and didn't do. You can look at students, individual submissions. If you pay, you can get student-specific insights. And then you can also look by activity. So you can just go through the slides and click on the ones that have the activities to view their responses and so on. You can also, so this is where you would share the link. I was in the wrong spot. So this is where you would share that link that Mary Kate just sent out to you. You can also download it as a Excel sheet. So once again, this, what I'm going to chat out to you right now is the Excel version of the case one. So let me bring that one up on the screen. So this only contains first names, but you can see go to the first one. There's a lesson summary that was based on the insights that were generated. It gives us kind of that chart version that we saw on the page. The first kind of set of slides with this weird tealish color are by activity, and then you can look by student. So two ways you can kind of view the information and see what was submitted. Sorry, where I shared via the lessons is how you can share it with teachers. So if you wanted to make a copy of the of this presentation, so another teacher could use it, that is where you would share it here. This is for teachers. I apologize about that. And you can also get the join link for students here too. So if you wanted to post it in Google Classroom to make it easier for them to join, you could do that way as well. Okay, any questions so far? I know this is a lot of information I'm throwing at you. One thing I would highly recommend is create an account, even if you just go and find one tool that you would like to try out. It does take a bit of practice to navigate and build the presentations in here. So it could just be that you only use it for a couple of assessment tools, whether it's the AI personalized feedback, or, once again, you can actually take an existing presentation and throw it in, and it will build in some assessments. The one thing I'll note about that is that it does not allow you to edit the original slide deck when you do that. It's essentially taking a picture of the slide and then imposing it into here. But as long as you know that slide deck is 100% good to go, you could do it that way as well for a nice, easy way to do it and to kind of start using it. All right, let me go back to my presentation and breeze through some of these. So once again, as I mentioned, the one that we're sharing on the slide deck we're sharing has all of these kind of how-to things about in them, so you don't have to remember it and can reference it later on. Yes, Kathy, that is coming up in about 2 slide decks or 2 slides. So just to get a sense of how you're feeling about CuriePod, I know this, once again, a lot of information in a short amount of time. So if you want to join again or make sure you've joined, it looks like everyone's in. If for some reason, I'm going to leave this up for a second because sometimes it does kick you out if it's been a while since you've joined. But I want you to go back to the screen that has the Curie Live in it, just to get a sense about how you're feeling with CuriePod. I'm actually going to do about 40 seconds for this one. And once again, it's going to do a countdown, and then you would enter your response on the screen that has the Curie Live, just how you're feeling about CuriePod. Excited, overwhelmed, need to try it out. Awesome. Okay, so it looks like those that responded do have some ideas for it, which is awesome. I'm glad you are leaving here with some inspiration and some ideas of what you can do in the classroom with this. As I said, I highly recommend just trying it out. The big thing with pretty much any teaching tool, right, is that a lot of the times it's hitting some of our needs, but not necessarily all of them. So you may find that you use this for some things and not others. And maybe some other tools are more appropriate for other lessons and things like that. So this is the pricing as of today. One thing that Jose and I ran into with pretty much every single tool up until now has been that they were free and then went into a pricing model right before our presentation. And so our accounts were affected. This pricing model has been in place for a while now. It may or may not change, but as of right now, this is what you can get. As I said, out of all the tools we've done so far, this is the one that I think you get the most bang for your buck, considering it's free, or with the free version. There's just a lot you can do. One thing I forgot to mention too is you can translate slides. So if you teach Spanish GED, you can translate the slides, or if you have some really low-level students that really need to see the bilingual, you can do that as well. There are some limitations with the free version on how many you can translate per month. Yes, exactly, Jose. More bang for no buck. Okay, so you had asked for the previous slides, or sorry, previous Knowledge Bytes series. So these are the sessions that we had previously done, as well as links for the presentation itself, and then the slide deck. So you can access these via the PDF that Jose is going to send to you at some point. They are also available on our website, Digital ATDN's website, and you can access them there. We have one more slide too that goes, oops. Here it is, sorry. So selecting the AI tool. So this goes over the different tools that we went over in the presentations and when they would probably be best used. So if you're looking for kind of specific tools to meet specific needs, you can also look here for the tool and then look at which session covered that tool as well. So that way you can kind of narrow in on the ones that are going to most apply to you. And so the link to our website is here. So the www.digitalatdnct.org. We also offer tech support sessions. So if you want to use this tool or any of the tools that we covered in the Knowledge Bytes series and have some questions or are looking for more information on how they can be used in your classroom, please feel free to schedule an appointment and we will meet with you to discuss any issues you're having or help you kind of troubleshoot and think of ideas for either the AI tools or any of the tech tools that are kind of out there and available. Did you have anything else, Jose, that you wanted to add about the offerings through Digital ATDN?
Oh wait, I thought I had my camera on. My bad. So one other thing I would say, even if it's a tool that we didn't cover and you just wanted to talk it through or look at through some of the privacy or how to check it or how to, or even if the tool changed, like Mary Brianna was mentioning, where all of a sudden this changed, you want to access something, they added a new section for CreePod and you want to explore that the new generator and that kind of thing, just feel free. Anything with technology, we could provide that implementation and support.
And I will say they are constantly adding generators in CurryPod. I mean, we did this presentation for Case in March. So it's been maybe like a month and a half. There was probably about 10 or 12 new generators that have come out since that I added. And I forgot to chat this out. So this is the spreadsheet that I was referring to. That kind of helps organize the CurryPod tools. It's going to prompt you to make a copy of it for your own. So that way you could use this to add to it or add notes about certain tools if you like them, didn't like them. Oops, there we go. It gives some directions here. You can also access presentation slide deck, schedule the tech support session from here and access the website. And these are the tools. So we have the little key of what it asks you to generate so whether it requires the topic or the standard grade, actual text. And then the categories, so AI feedback, if it's considered a brain break, comprehension, if it's a drawing tool, if it's considered a full lesson or activity, routines, vocab, grammar, and writing tools. I did also forget to mention one of the things that wasn't included is this STAR and Test Prep Made Fun. I didn't include those tools when I originally was looking and created that. Those were considered premium generators, and you couldn't generate using them. But they are no longer listed as premium. So you can use those. I just didn't have the opportunity to add them in. So these are definitely more content specific generators, but they are available. I know Cesar has attended in the past and asked about specific math tools. So there are ones here that you could use focusing on math. But those are there. They're just not in that spreadsheet that I shared. And as I mentioned, these are constantly, there's new ones being added. So this is the AI tools as of last Thursday. So more may be added on as it goes. I don't know that this will necessarily continually be updated. And also because you have a copy, you wouldn't see the updates even if I did add them. But they're there. So it's a good starting place. But any other questions or comments or thoughts?